Hello and welcome to Quiz Class. I'm your host, Ellen, and today we have 100 questions for the boomers. We will dip right in with question number 1. What mandate established in 1923 set the stage for decades of conflict in Palestine? British Mandate for Palestine. Where was the iconic tweed fabric used for 1920s Chanel suits sourced? France, Great Britain, or Spain? Great Britain. In what decade were standardized urban traffic light signals installed in U.S. cities? The 20s, the 30s, or the 40s? The 1920s. What did John Logie Baird demonstrate for the first time in 1925, paving the way for modern broadcasting? Two-way radio, television, or vinyl records? Television. Which pioneering aviator symbolized hope for minority representation after training in France in 1921? Harriet Quimby, Amelia Earhart, or Bessie Coleman? Bessie Coleman. What underground venues became popular during 1920s Prohibition? Rum runners, speakeasies, or moonshiners? Speakeasies. Where did jazz musician Duke Ellington frequently perform during the 1920s Harlem Renaissance? The Cotton Club, the Bee's Knees, or the Jaunty Jive? The Cotton Club. What 1927 disaster covering 27,000 square miles became one of the most destructive U.S. natural events? The Dust Bowl, the San Francisco earthquake, or the Great Mississippi Flood? The Great Mississippi Flood. What Italian-American tradition began in New York's Little Italy during the late 20s? All Saints' Day, Feast of San Gennaro, or Ferragosto? The Feast of San Gennaro. What 1923 occupation by French and Belgian forces fueled German resistant post-World War I resentment? Ruhr occupation, Rhine occupation, or Reich occupation? Ruhr occupation. What Arctic Ocean crossing record was set by explorer Roland Amundsen in 1926? Canoe, air, or skiff? Air. What scent does the 1920s to 1940s baked light have under warm water? Arsenic, formaldehyde, or peat? Backlight light, Formaldehyde. What change in basketball rules in the 1920s made gameplay faster and more dynamic? Allowing 2 free throws, allowing dribbling advances, or allowing backboard rebounds? Allowing dribbling advances. What 1921 to 1922 conference marked the first significant arms control agreement? Washington Naval Conference, Baltimore Naval Conference, or New York Naval Conference? The Washington Naval Conference. What Japanese era began with the reign of Emperor Hirohito in 1926? Showa, Edo, or Jomon? Showa. U.S. immigration from which European region was significantly limited with the 1924 Johnson-Reed Act? Southern and Eastern Europe, Northern and Eastern Europe, or Central and Eastern Europe? Southern and Eastern Europe. What Soviet tank developed in the late 1930s became crucial in World War II for its armor and firepower? R-34, S-34, or T-34? T-34. Which female visual artist gained international acclaim in the 1930s, especially in Paris? Frida Kahlo, Georgia O'Keeffe, or Edna Rindel? Frida Kahlo. What strict Hollywood code in the 1930s censored violence, crime, and sexual content? Bayes Code, Days Code, or Hays Code? Hays Code. Where was the Zippo lighter invented in 1932 that became popular with World War II soldiers? Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, or Vermont? Pennsylvania. What top-loading stapler, invented in 1939, improved ease of refilling? Top line, snap line, or swing line? Swing line. What household ingredient was enriched with vitamin supplements in the late 1930s? Flour, corn, or rice? Flour. What was British leader Neville Chamberlain's policy that led to the 1938 Munich Agreement? Neutrality, appeasement, or mutuality? Appeasement. What nickname for New York City became popular in the 1930s through a tourism campaign? Empire City, the City of Dreams, or the Big Apple? The Big Apple. Which drink featuring vodka and juice gained attention in a 1939 New York gossip column? Screwdriver, Long Island Iced Tea, or Bloody Mary? Bloody Mary. What 1937 atrocity highlighted the brutal Japanese occupation of a Chinese city? The rape of Nanking, rape of Hong Kong, or rape of Peking? Rape of Nanking. Where was writer Margaret Atwood born on November 18, 1939? Canada, the Republic of Ireland, or Australia? Canada. What observatory advanced stellar spectroscopy in the 1930s, revealing more about star composition? Yerkes Observatory. What adhesive product did 3M introduce in 1930 for packaging and repairs? Duct tape, gaffer tape, or Scotch tape? Scotch tape. What South American war from 1932 to 1935 was fought over oil-rich land? Chaco War, Draco War, or Jaco War? Chaco War. What drink, marketed as an energy drink in the 1930s, was served hot to aid digestion? Dr. Pepper, Jolt, or Radithor? Dr. Pepper. When China introduced the fiat currency system in 1935, what did it replace? Gold, bronze, or silver? Silver. What product, introduced in the 1930s, made tea drinking in America more convenient? Thermos, strainer, or tea bag? Tea bag. What accessories became a public trend in the 1930s as Hollywood stars wore them off-screen? Fascinators, parasols, or sunglasses? Sunglasses. What organization, originally aimed at combating polio, expanded to vaccination research after World War II? March of Dimes, March of Lives, or March of Pines? March of Dimes. What U.S. company switched from wartime bomber production to commercial airliners post-World War II, boosting aviation? Ford, Boeing, or Gulfstream? Boeing. What Japanese exports in 1948 fueled the country's post-war recovery and global market re-entry? Sugarcane, paper, or silk? Silk. Who oversaw the 1947 Levittown development in New York? Levitt & Co., Levitt & Sons, or Levitt Brothers? Levitt & Sons. What Dr. Seuss book, released in 1940, became popular for its message of loyalty during World War II? Horton Hatches the Egg, The Butter Battle Book, or If I Ran the Circus? Horton Hatches the Egg. What 1947 U.S. event involving an 18-year-old boy sparked a national debate on juvenile justice? The detainment of Willie Francis, the execution of Willie Francis, or the lynching of Willie Francis? The execution of Willie Francis. What gangsters moved to Las Vegas in 1945 helped launch the casino industry? Frank Costello, Bugsy Siegel, or Meyer Lansky? Bugsy Siegel. What line of affordable paperbacks gained popularity in the 1940s from Simon & Schuster? Easy books, pocket books, or travel books? Pocket books. What river was diverted in the 1941 project to increase Los Angeles' water supply? The Columbia River, Sacramento River, or Colorado River? The Colorado River. What 1943 case protected students' rights not to salute the U.S. flag? West Virginia versus Barnett, Wisconsin versus Barnett, or Wyoming versus Barnett? West Virginia versus Barnett. What 1946 murder trial exposed gruesome child abductions and highlighted kidnapping laws? Granville Pig Pen murders, Pentville Deer Drive murders, or Wineville Chicken Coop murders? The Wineville Chicken Coop murders. Where was the 1942 Coconut Grove fire that claimed nearly 500 lives, leading to fire safety code changes? Boston, Detroit, or St. Louis? Boston. What 1947 court case ruled against racial segregation in California schools? Mendez versus Westminster, Malone versus Wharton, or Mann versus Williams? Mendez versus Westminster. Which 1952 children's book introduced some pig? Winnie the Pooh, Babe, or Charlotte's Web? Charlotte's Web. What peanut butter brand introduced in 1958 became popular for its creamy texture? Skippy, Smucker's, or Jif? Jif. What post-World War II trade agreement expanded international cooperation on tariffs? GATT, GANT, or GATE? GATT. What controversial book's 1959 publication in the UK led to a landmark obscenity trial? Lolita, Howl, or Lady Chatterley's Lover? Lady Chatterley's Lover. What public health measure in the 1950s helped reduce cavities in American communities? Free dental clinics, water fluoridation, or dairy industry tax cuts? Water fluoridation. What U.S. industry's 1959 strike led to labor law changes? Steel, timber, or automotive? Steel. What Italian liner's 1956 sinking following a collision shocked the world? Anita Darla, Amelia Diana, or Andrea Doria? Andrea Doria. What major upgrade didn't New York City make to its subway system in 1955? Air conditioning, nonstop trains, or new trains? Nonstop trains. What fashion look symbolizing 1950s women's style was inspired by Jackie Kennedy? Pearls and gloves, poodle skirts and pumps, or lockets and berets? Pearls and gloves. What medical device became widely used in 1955, saving lives by treating cardiac arrest? Pacemaker, blood pressure monitor, or defibrillator? Defibrillator. What 1952 Tennessee hotel opening launched the modern chain model? Holiday Inn, Best Western, or Comfort Inn? Holiday Inn. What 1956 bridge helped relieve Bay Area traffic in San Francisco? Richmond San Rafael Bridge, Red Bank San Rafael Bridge, or Regional San Rafael Bridge? The Richmond San Rafael Bridge. What candy, originally a drink mix, was rebranded in 1952 as straws? Twizzlers, Pixie Sticks, or Fads? Pixie Sticks. What frozen vegetable was introduced by Birdseye in 1952, offering an alternative to canned vegetables? Peas, corn, or carrots? Peas. What 1950s hypothesis linked genes to enzyme production, impacting biology? One gene 1, one gene 2, or one gene 3? One gene 1. What 1959 U.S. trade embargo affected relations with Cuba? Cuban sugar embargo, Cuban tobacco embargo, or the Cuban coffee embargo? The Cuban sugar embargo. What U.S. organization developed a national blood donation program in the 50s? America's Blood Centers, One Blood, or the Red Cross? The Red Cross. What 1960 New Balance shoe introduced width options for runners? Runster, Trackster, or Speedster? Trackster. What diaspora began in the 1960s as people fled Chinese occupation? Tibetan, Indian, or Mongolian? Tibetan. What magazine featured Norman Rockwell covers into the 1960s, symbolizing traditional American values? The Saturday Evening Post, New York Magazine, or Time? The Saturday Evening Post. Who broke financial barriers as the first woman with a seat on the New York Stock Exchange in 1967? Martha Stewart, Muriel Seibert, or Gloria Steinem? Muriel Seibert. What Boeing jetliner, introduced in 1963, became the best-selling plane for short flights? The Boeing 727, the Boeing 737, or the Boeing 747? The 727. What discovery in 1966 revealed a new carbon molecule with unique properties? Buckyballs, Lucky Balls, or Rucky Balls? Buckyballs. What inflatable trend in the late 1960s fit psychedelic and pop art movements? Lamps, hats, or chairs? Chairs. What organization, founded in 1961, promoted breastfeeding and natural mothering? United Milk League, Feed First League, or Lalek League? The Lalek League. What review publication launched in 1963 with in-depth essays and criticism? London Review of Books, New York Review of Books, or the Paris Review of Books? The New York Review of Books. What was installed at the NRG Astrodome in 1966 that changed stadium design? Artificial turf, night lights, or a retractable roof? Artificial turf. What Mach number was reached by the XB-70 Valkyrie, the supersonic bomber, in October 1965? Mach 3, 4, or 5? Mach 3. What city was connected to Tokyo by the Tomei Expressway in 1969? Fukushima, Nagoya, or Toyama? Nagoya. What 1970s television show depicted a single career woman and influenced future portrayals? The Wonder Years, The Brady Bunch, or The Mary Tyler Moore Show? The Mary Tyler Moore Show. In which month of 1974 did the U.S. House Judiciary Committee draw up 3 impeachment articles for President Nixon following Watergate? February, April, or July? July. What 1970s hairstyle made famous by Farrah Fawcett became iconic? Bobbed, feathered, or permed? Feathered. Who pardoned President Nixon in September 1974? Jimmy Carter, Gerald Ford, or Ronald Reagan? Gerald Ford. What 1978 FBI operation exposed congressional corruption by posing as Arab sheiks? Abscam, Sheik Scam, or Gulf Scam? Abscam. Who launched a bombing campaign in 1978 that puzzled law enforcement? Unabomber, Unabomber, or Unabomber? Unabomber. What radios were used in the 1970s craze for communication and slang? AB, BB, or CB? CB. What metal's price surge in the 1970s impacted U.S. penny production? Nickel, iron, or copper? Copper. What site in modern Turkey was excavated in the 1970s, revealing ties to a Homeric legend? Atlantis, Olympus, or Troy? Troy. What candy, known for its jokes on the wrapper, was popular in the 1970s? Humbugs, Skittles, or Laffy Taffy? Laffy Taffy. What songwriters' collaborations with Elton John produced iconic 1970s hits? Martin Page, Brian Wilson, or Bernie Taupin? Bernie Taupin. What Judy Blume book from 1972 captivated young readers with family humor? Blubber, Superfudge, or Deanie? Superfudge. What bold makeup trend in the 1980s was inspired by power dressing? Lip liner, lip gloss, or matte lipstick? Matte lipstick. Whose 1987 album Faith showcased their songwriting versatility? Sting, Phil Collins, or George Michael? George Michael. What colorful accessory became a craze in the 1980s with interchangeable designs? Leg warmers, banana clips, or Swatch watches? Swatch watches. What 1985 stadium disaster in England highlighted the need for safety improvements? The Bradford City Stadium fire, the Manchester City Stadium fire, or the Everton City Stadium fire? The Bradford City Stadium fire. What did the 1986 U.S. Supreme Court case Baston versus Kentucky ban racial discrimination in? In employment, in college acceptance, or in jury selection? In jury selection. What U.S. space program launched in 1981 focused on reusable shuttle design? The Space Shuttle Program, Green Shuttle Program, or Unity Shuttle Program? The Space Shuttle Program. What 1989 hurricane caused widespread destruction in South Carolina and damages over $10 billion? Hurricane Hugo, Hurricane Hill, or Hurricane Horace? Hurricane Hugo. What 1985 novel portrayed teenage ennui in wealthy Los Angeles, defining minimalist fiction? The Outsiders, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, or Less Than Zero? Less Than Zero. In addition to aerobics, what movie inspired the 1980s leg warmers fashion staple? Dirty Dancing, Flashdance, or Fame? Flashdance. What 1980 photography series by Cindy Sherman redefined art with themes of identity? Identical film stills, anonymous film stills, or untitled film stills? Untitled film stills. What 1984 telecommunications event ended AT&T's monopoly, boosting industry competition? The AT&T collapse, the AT&T Senate inquiry, or the AT&T breakup? The AT&T breakup. And for question 100, which country was not a major ally of Iran during the 1980 to 1988 Iran-Iraq War? Syria, Lebanon, or Libya? Lebanon. And our bonus question, which 1970s television series about the Korean War starts with M? Let us know the answer in the comments. Thanks for playing this quiz. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you in our next one. Bye-bye.